Hi and welcome. My name is Christian and this is Quarantine Games. Instead of me doing a hero analysis in the beginning of each of my Marvel Champions videos, I thought we should do a hero review instead of each hero. Let's get to it. This is Captain America. He is probably the best hero overall. He has a great start and a great end. He doesn't really seem to get a whole lot better as the game goes along, but he's great from the get-go. He's also the hero that has the best and most diverse event suite in the game right now. Well, at least that's my opinion. He fits well with each aspect. There's no one aspect that's better for him than the other. All aspects are equally good on this character. If you're playing solo, I would definitely recommend the Stunlock Captain America deck, but in multiplayer he's really amazing with aggression. The fun thing about him is that he has a lot of cards that are similar to other heroes. For example, his support is very similar to Captain Marvel's hero action, and with one of his events and another card, he thwarts just as much as Tony Stark. He's very dependent on a physical resource. Well, he's not really that dependent, but he has physical resources and a lot of them. And the physical resource right now is the best resource to have. Of course, the wild resource is better because it has more usability, but the physical resource enables a lot of cards in the game right now. Concussive Blow, Tackle, Relentless Assault, his own Heroic Strike, and so on. It's also worth noting that this is my favorite hero in the Marvel Universe, so I'm probably a little bit biased. If you're a rookie, I'll definitely recommend you trying Captain America first, because he's more forgiving towards misplays and bad decisions, especially when you don't know the rules. Enough beating around the bush, let's talk about the cards. First, let's look at the identity card, because we can't talk about deck building options without looking at the card that's always gonna be on the table. First up is Steve Rogers. He has a recovery of 3, he has 11 hit points and a hand size of 6, which is pretty standard for a superhuman. He has an ability that's called Living Legend, where you reduce the cost of the first ally played each round by 1. This is just an enabling card, not just for yourself, but all other heroes around the table. This is a great multiplayer ability. He has a setup where you search your deck and discard pile for Captain America's shield upgrade and add it to your hand. Then you shuffle your deck. This means that if you see the shield in your opening hand before mulligan, you should discard it, because if you keep it in your hand, you're only starting with 6 cards. If you discard it, then you can draw it up with your setup ability and then start the game with 7 cards. On his hero side, he has a thwart, attack and defense value of 2, which is a good stat line. I will actually say it's great. He has a hand size of 5, which is also pretty standard. He has an action, I can do this all day, where you discard 1 card from your hand to ready Captain America. You can only do this once per round, but it's pretty powerful anyway. This is just great. If you really need that thwarted 2 and you're confused, you can just discard a card after you remove this confused status card, and then you can thwart. It's just an amazing ability and something that you should definitely try to build your deck around. Let's talk about his iconic shield. The shield costs 1 and it's restricted. You can only have 2 restricted cards per player. Right now you can max have 2 in your deck, and it's only Thor and Captain America that can have 2 restricted cards. The shield grants him both +1 defense and retaliate. This is just amazing for a 1 cost. The shield is important to get out early because it enables a lot of your other cards, which we're going to talk about now. First of the shield card is Shield Toss. It costs 0 and it's an hero action. You discard a number of cards from your hand and then return Captain America's shield to your hand to deal 4 damage to a number of enemies. This means that if you discard 3 cards, you can deal 4 damage to 3 enemies. It's worth noting that this is an action that's simultaneously. So if there's a guard minion on the table, you cannot hit the villain as well in this action. And also you can hit the same enemy multiple times. That will be cheating. You can only hit one enemy one time. This is the best AoE card that is in the entire game right now. You could argue that something like Squirrel Girl or Ground Stomp is better. It really depends on the situation, but overall this card just takes the cake. The next is your get out of jail free card, Shield Block. It costs 0 and it's an interrupt with the defense keyword in the parentheses. When you would take any amount of damage, exhaust Captain America's shield, prevent all that damage. This is just like backflip, but with a little cost. It's not that much, but it's still a little. So you can play more shield blocks in the round. It's also worth noting that because of the defense word in the parentheses, you have to be the target of an attack to use this. That was it for the shield cards. Let's talk about his enabling cards. First up is his signature support, Steve's Apartment. It costs 1. It's an alter ego action where you exhaust the apartment to draw 1 card and heal 1 damage. To get this out early is kind of crucial because your recovery is pretty low, and this makes his recovery technically 4 in the round. And also this is quite similar to Captain Marvel's hero action, where you don't have to pay the 1 resource every round. And of course it's an alter ego action, which is fine because Captain America wants to flip between America and Steve Rogers a lot because of that 1 discount for an ally each round. We've been looking at some really good cards. Let's look at a card. I think it's bad, but it's not really bad. It just seems bad compared to the other 14 cards in the deck. It is his helmet. It costs 1. It has an interrupt. When Captain America would be defeated, we set his hit point dial to 1 instead, then discard this card. This is just again get out of jail free card. Because if you screwed up and die, then you are lucky if you played the helmet. I always think the helmet is a waste of time because if you're already dying, you're having a really bad game already. His signature ally is Agent 13. She costs 3, has an attack value of 1, a thwart value of 2 and 3 health. She takes 1 consequential damage for doing her basic powers. But she has the second most powerful when enters play ability, because Maria Hill is still stronger, especially in multiplayer. Agent 13 has a response. After Agent 13 enters play, remove 2 threat from a scheme, which means that you can get 8 thwart out of her, or 6 thwart and a block. Before the Black Widow and Thor pack, she was a contender for the best signature ally in the game. As I said before, this guy can really do it all. So let's look at his best card in the deck. Well, that's my opinion. Fearless Determination. It costs 0. Captain America gets +1 thwart until the end of the phase, and you draw 1 card. This is just incredible. Because of his ability where he can ready, and you play this first, he can thwart for 6. And there are 2 copies of Fearless Determination in the deck, so if you get both of them out, and maybe also a Heroic Intuition, you can basically thwart for 10 one round. And you draw 2 cards. It's just incredible value for a 0 cost. We're not done, because he also has a resource card as an upgrade. Super Soldier Serum. It costs 2. You just exhaust Super Soldier Serum to generate a physical resource. The physical resource is the most sought after resource in the game at the moment, because there's only one card that is not a hero card that needs another resource to be amazing. I'm not counting Vision here. I'm just talking about for Justice. It needs a science resource, but all the other great cards like Tackle and Concussive Blow needs the physical resource. What can you use that physical resource for in your own deck? Well, you can use it for Heroic Strike. It costs 3. It's an hero action and an attack. You deal 6 damage to an enemy, and if you pay it with a physical resource, you also get to stun that enemy. This is just a straight upgrade over Tackle, which only grants you a stun and 3 damage if you pay with a physical resource. And there's 3 copies of Heroic Strike in your deck, which means that you can really just put the hammer down with the Captain America Stun Lock protection deck, especially with the Doctor Strange Hero Pack. Then you have 8 cards that stuns the enemy, which is incredible when you only have 40 cards in your deck. That was all his cards, and as you can see on the resource distribution, he has a lot more physical resources than the others. He also has a little bit of science, which makes him great with the for Justice play as well. He doesn't have a lot of expensive cards. He doesn't even have a 4, which makes his deck incredibly cheap, which just makes him even that much better. I had some difficulties creating Captain America on the same curve as the other heroes, because Captain America is just so much better than the rest of them. There's only one hero that's close, and that's Tony Stark, and that's after you have built your board state. Captain America is great from the moment you sit down to the moment when the villain is defeated. So he's an A+++. Maybe Doctor Strange can rival him, but I don't really think so. I need some more playing time with Doctor Strange. He seems pretty good though. And as always, I made a deck for you to try, and it's Captain America's Stun Lock. It's the best deck in the game, especially after the Black Widow and Doctor Strange hero packs. Because Black Widow grants you the Queen Carrier, and Doctor Strange gives you the Night Nurse and the Unflappable upgrade card. And also there's Iron Fist. Both of which just gives you incredible value. You can use the Queen Carrier for either Nova or Black Widow's ability. If you see that that awful advance or awful Shadows of the Past, you can just cancel it with Black Widow. And if you're just taking a lot of attacks, you're fine, because you have the shield blocks, and you have on Indomitable, you have the energy barriers, and you have your Retaliate on Cap Shield, and of course the Armored Vest and the +1 defense from the shield, which means that you can practically walk around with a defense of 7 and a Retaliate of 4 when you have everything on the table, which means he's basically unkillable. I include endurance and downtime no matter what, because it's still 2 cards that leaves your deck and also gives you a little bit of breathing room. This deck is a little bit different to compared to others, because other decks, especially the Iron Man deck, wants to build a board state and then deal a lot of damage very fast. Not Captain America. It's about building your board state by denying the villain attacks, and if you get minions, then you use your energy barriers, and then you're slowly chipping away the health. You don't have a lot of damage cards, you only have the shield toss and your heroic strike and tackle, and they are more like fine, because you want to slowly chip away at the villain. I was a little bit conflicted whether or not I should just not give you a deck to try, because Cap is just great with all the aspects, and it doesn't really matter that much which cards you put in the deck, because he's just incredible no matter what. Some notable aspects is aggression and leadership. He's not as good with justice as the other, but he's still great. The leadership deck I will definitely include cards like teamwork and morale boost and rapid response, but that's primarily for the Nick Fury play. That's ridiculously dumb. Something I haven't talked about in the hero reviews is the obligation, and the man out of time obligation card. It's kind of a, what should we call it? It's kind of a joke, because when you have everything set up, especially just Steve's apartment, the man out of time card just grants you a discount for an ally, and gives you one more card and one more health before you go into hero mode. Some people think that Tony Stark is the best hero in the game, but he's not. He's only the second best at most. Cap is the best hero. There's just no discussion. Because of all the things I said, he has some of the best cards in the game. He has the best ability in the game. That ability allows you to play your best cards and leave one card in hand. Because every card now has to be weighed towards his ability. Is this card better than 2 attack or 2 thwart? Or if you have some upgrades, 3 attack or 3 thwart. That was Captain America, the first and best Avenger, and I'm Christian from Quarantine Games. See you next time when I dig deep into the Doctor Strange Hero Pack.